Thank
Mr.
you.
Harrell, I just want to ask you a question. You can put this to rest once and for all. There's been a lot of talk about this so-called rain tax, stormwater utility district, and all this. Will you just give us a Sherman on this right now? Have you ever proposed, investigated a stormwater utility district or rain tax? Are you thinking about it now? Would you ever propose or implement a stormwater utility district or rain tax in the city of Knoxville?
I have not proposed a rain tax. Actually, what I'd love for us to look at are what some cities have done, which is more green infrastructure, green development. That's one way to reduce the amount of water that, runs off during rainstorm and such. And I think we've got a lot of untapped opportunity there on how we develop and redevelop our properties.
To close the loop, though, you will not propose a so-called rain tax in Knoxville when you're mayor of Knoxville.
Well, I think, JB, don't you think that that you ought to, if it's an issue, we ought to look at all different alternatives. I have no desire to have a rain tax, but it's like saying, like with George Bush, read my lips. I don't understand why. I think the responsible thing to do, because I'm not going to pander to voters, the responsible thing to do is that if there is a stormwater problem, that you take a look at that and have you do your research on it and see how, in fact, you deal with that.
Last question is this.
Do you understand what I'm saying, JB?
Have you ever discussed the notion of a SUD or a rain tax with anybody from city stormwater? There's a rumor to that effect. Discussed how to implement it. Has that ever happened?
I don't understand. Have I ever talked with stormwater about having a rain tax?
There's a rumor. Have you ever discussed this implementation of the utility district?
I have never said that I wanted a rain tax.
You ever discussed with anybody from the city stormwater department?
I don't know if we've ever talked. We've talked about stormwater. We've talked about flooding issues. I don't deal much with stormwater and with that department, but we've talked about flooding issues.
Okay. Mr. Rogero, thank you very much.